before we talk matters, religion and how that is playing into all of this, do you get a sense we've learned any lessons from Westgate? He's alluding to that even with these particular investigations, people will not be optimistic that there's going to be any grounds gained. Mheshimiwa here is talking about people not reading, but at the end of the day, are you getting that sense that there was any lesson learned, that we moved any ground, made any progress from last time?
Absolutely, there is no lesson learned, unfortunately, in how we have been carrying out our activities. Because when we have this unfortunate incident of Garissa, it was like something new to the Kenyan people. But we have even forgetting that we have almost similar problem in Peketoni. We have almost the same problem in nature, the way it was carried out in Mandera some few months ago. And Kenya is still waking up to terrible news without really knowing even what exactly we need to do. I've always said in other places that this country is at war because we have our own military forces outside our country. So when we have military outside, we are actually at war. But we have refused to appreciate that living in a state of war, there are some things that we need to be careful about. We have not been able to. It's just like someone living in his house, and you know there are an enemy outside there, but you refuse to lock your door, to close your door, but you think you are very safe inside. That is how the Kenyan people have lived. There are basic things that we need to be aware of. We need to, having been given that experience of Mandera, when people, unfortunately people who are not Muslims were attacked, we could have been very careful now to say, those communities in the same region, how are we doing about it? How do we make sure that they are safe so that we don't really fall into the trap of the people who are against us? So these are some of the things that I think as a country, there are the specific steps that we need to take, from security, how the security operations work, how the security operators work, how the Kenyans themselves relate to security agencies, and how security could actually engage and dialogue with local communities for intelligence gathering.
And let me put this to, I'll come back to you shortly. We've had numerous attacks, hundreds of lives have been lost. What is it in your opinion, Franklin, that we're not getting right? What is it that is making us not learn these lessons, not to move forward? That it appears to be like a breaking story every other time. Of course, no attack is the same, but still there could be a level of preparedness, a level of intelligence that's being seen in working out when we see these kind of situations unfold.
You invited me here on September 15th, 2014 to discuss 1 year after Westgate. And I said there were no lessons learned, because we never did. We never had a very good inquiry into Westgate. It was never released, it was never discussed. And I said there were no lessons learned. And that was September 15th, 2014. I think that, I believe that the media has been very remiss in this country, particularly in the last few years, buying the line on some kind of war on terror, but also not pursuing, as journalists or in the media, the need to implement the laws we have. I cannot explain why we're not implementing the National Police Service Act. Although we budget 80 billion shillings a year for our National Police Service. I cannot explain why we're not implementing the Kenya Defense Forces Act of 2012 that I actually worked on in conjunction with the CIC.
What has not been implemented?
We do not have reserves. We do not have reserves, sir. I mean, and the police, we do not have an adequate Kenya Police Reserve, which is a major chapter in that National Police Service Act.
So that's
organized
police efficiency.
We're not recruiting police reservists. That's in the Act. We don't have a consolidated command structure. The Kenya Defense Forces Act, besides the fact that the Kenya Defense Forces require National Assembly approval prior to any domestic deployments, we're now using the Kenya Defense Forces, the ones who are not in Somalia, to supplement or even replace the police service, who are really stretched. And that is a slippery slope, but it's bad for their morale and discipline to be used in firefighting roles, almost as paramilitary police.
You're right. I mean,
there are serious. Excuse me, sir. We had not reorganized the National Intelligence Service in accordance with the Act passed in 2012, and to the best of my knowledge, we don't have an independent part of the national security.
As a legislator, I find difficulty in the consultant making sweeping statements that we have not done this in this legislation, we have not done this. And yet there's no specific examples he's providing. He's saying we've not reorganized the National Intelligence Service according to the Act. Which Act? He's talking about reorganizing the National Intelligence Service. Because that Act, the NIS Act, is in force, has been passed by Parliament, we have the service, so what haven't we reorganized? What was meant to be reorganized according to which Act? I don't understand what he's,
I think in one word,
let me finish. So in terms of the NIS's performance and constitution, there has been major transformation. We have a new director of the National Intelligence Service. We are finding the morale of the NIS is very high to date. We are finding the capabilities and the quality of the intelligence information that they are churning out is very high and very good. We even heard confirmation by the senator here that the intelligence on this attack was given, which it was. So, making sweeping statements, kind of generally deriding all the security organizations and saying that we're not supporting, not fulfilling this act. I think that is it's not proper. And me sitting on this bench as a legislator, I can't allow that to stand.
All right, okay.